What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Imagine holding $1 billion forum just to pretend everything is fine while your entire economy is being crushed in real time. Welcome to SPIEF 2025, Russia's annual delusion festival, also known as the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. What was supposedly to be a PR day for billionaires, oligarchs, bureaucrats and high-end escorts accidentally turned into something way more revealing. And no, not in the way you might think. What came out was not just another round of Putin's praising non-existent growth or ministers nodding like dashboard bobbleheads. No, this time something broke through the surface. Not honesty, let's not get carried away and get too hopeful, but at least a sense of despair. Because while Putin is still dreaming in metrics pulled out of thin air, his government seems to have figured out they are crashing straight into a wall. And they were trying, not so subtly, to tell the driver he is heading off the cliff, except the driver is blindfolded and high on power. So buckle up, pun intended, as we are diving straight into the SPIEF farce, Putin's fantasy economics, the whispers of terrified ministers, and a little side dish of military corruption, the kind that now gets you jail time, occasionally. And the weirdest phenomena, at least for Russia, in Russia, is that getting sent to prison is your best case scenario. It means you got away with literally a slap on your wrist, and in order to achieve that, you either have to share a major portion of your stealings, or you have to be flying really, really close to the sun. But not too close. So no wonder arrests of Russia's highest echelons of power always makes the loudest news, until eventually dying down into complete obscurity of silence. And by the way, guys, on Monday I will have a very unusual and, as most of you will think, controversial guest for my Thank God It's Monday podcast, so please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, if you don't want to miss it. I'm certain it will cause a very big drama in the comment section, so yeah, I guess I'm excited for you to see it and hear what you guys have to say. Now let's begin the video. Let's start with the main star of the show, Vladimir Putin himself. When he walks on stage at SPIEF, he does not look like a man waging a catastrophic, unwinnable war. He looks like a guy who just won the lottery. According to him, Russia's economy is booming, inflation is controlled, and tech innovation is popping like fireworks. The way he tells it, Russia is not just surviving, it's thriving. He even threw in some colorful commentary about recycling and infrastructure. Because apparently when cities are turning into craters and budgets are evaporating, what really matters is sorting your trash. But here is the twist. This time, Putin says the military-industrial complex is not just important, it is the Russian economy. Civilian research and development, that's just extra support for the war machine. Consumer goods, nah. No, who needs toasters when you can just have drones? Just fix your old one instead of buying a new one, and well, the money can go to just buying more drones, I guess. The line between civilian life and military life gone, and not metaphorically, like literally erased. In Putin's utopia, tanks equal prosperity, war equals growth, destruction equals progress. Sounds awfully familiar, right? War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. You know the quote. Unwillingly, Putin confessed that he put the economy on the road to dead end. The road with no stop signs, no speed limits, and intersections every other block. So you never know what and when is going to hit you. This is not just a confession, it's a full-blown doctrine now, and Putin no longer hides it. The St. Petersburg International Economic Forum just became the podium for him to finally let the truth out. The war is not just a drain anymore, it is the new lifeline. It is not temporary, it is permanent, for at least his, Putin's life, for whatever is left. Peace is not just off the table itself has been incinerated. And to make sure we all got the message, he doubled down. The war is profitable, productive, and is here to stay. That is not policy, that's delusion. Many people immediately got Putin's hints and it made them literally speechless, though they still had to smile and clap through his entire monologue. And since complaining about the decisions of Tsar in Russia is as dangerous as discrediting the Russian military, or simply telling the truth, the Kremlin's inhabitants had to send SOS codes in Morse to one another. Something has to be done. But how can you do it when your every step is an action, is closely monitored? That is a very big dilemma. Let's talk about it in our next chapter. Now here is where things get bizarre, even for Russia. Because while Putin is flying high on fantasy economics, his ministers were out here sounding like they were on the verge of nervous breakdown. These guys are not elected, no way, so they don't need votes. I mean, it makes sense. Why, if you're gonna get re-elected anyways? They're not activists, they're not dissidents, they're regime loyalists. And yet, at SPIEF, they sounded like battered employees trying to stage an intervention. Take Economic Minister Maxim Reshetnikov, for example. This man who knows a thing or two about how the economy functions. Well, apparently he won the award for the most depressed bureaucrat of 2025. He basically stood up and said, guys, everything is fake. We are out of money and we are headed into recession. Not in those exact words, of course, but you get the idea. He's not delusional and he does not want to implode his political career, but still, things that he said were pretty close. According to him, all the GDP growth Putin brags about, well, it's fake. A subsidy-fueled illusion created by dumping government cash into the defense sector. What about the rest of the economy? Starved, dying, ignored. He even dropped the word cool down, the Kremlin's favorite euphemism for economic nosedive. The economy is not crashing, it is just cooling down, like they say. Businesses cannot get loans, investments are disappearing, inflation is coming back like mold in a wet apartment. And the sectors that could bring long-term stability, they're being gutted to feed the war beast. Because tanks do not make money, they just burn it, as well as men and their futures. Reshetnikov, though, did try his best to be subtle. He did not say we are doomed, but he may as well could have. Because when even Putin's own ministers have realized that the war is not just expensive, it is unfortunately for them too late to change the course. It's like driving a bus full of party people who are a little bit tipsy to the cliff's edge. And at first, all of them think it's just some kind of a joke. The driver will surely slow down and turn around. But then, as bus keeps accelerating and you can already see the canyon in front of you, people inside they do start panicking and questioning whether the intentions of the driver are real or not. Then panic erupts, people start screaming, chaos, until someone brave enough runs to the driver and sees him with eyes wide open, but it's like he's looking into nothing. It's like he doesn't see anything in front of him. His gaze is not fixed on anything. And the headphones that the driver is wearing, well, they constantly say, "You are doing all right, Vladimir Vladimirovich. The road ahead is clear. Keep driving and there is no need to slow down. You will reach your destination soon." Repeat. Who is the person on the other side of the call? Well, let's see it in our next chapter. So, how does Putin stay so confident while his economy literally falls apart? Easy. Statistics. Specifically, cooked one. You see, there are lies, then more lies, and then there's GDP under Putin, basically even more lies. He claims Russia is the biggest economy in Europe, that it beats Germany. Seriously. Russia's actual nominal GDP in 2025, approximately $2 trillion. What about Germany? Nearly 5 trillion, 2.5 times more. So how does Putin make it work? He plays the purchasing power parity game, PPP. The economic equivalent of comparing a fast food meal in Moscow to a 5-star dinner in a Michelin star restaurant in Paris. PPP says a dollar in Russia goes further than a dollar in the West, so it inflates Russia's numbers. And suddenly, these $2 trillion turns into 7 trillion. Putin's style magic. But here's the catch. PPP also says Tajikistan is 4 times richer than it looks like, while people there make $270 a month on average. This is not statistical machinations, it's just a comedy theater, I don't know what else to say. And to make things even more ridiculous, the areas in Russia where prices are actually high, the far north or far east, well, those areas get excluded, simple as that. Why? Because including them would ruin the illusion. That's not economics, that's data cherry picking, to say the least. The real economy is not in these fairy tale figures. It is the empty storefronts, the failing small businesses, the vanished Western investments, everything. Russia did not suddenly become rich in war. It's been pretending, and now it is pretending just harder. All to make it look like they are doing just fine, while in reality, everyone except Putin are crying once they're home alone and certain that there are no FSB bugs inside their walls. Some still try to fight back, like Maxim Reshetnikov, the guy we spoke about previously. While the others gave up and just do barely enough not to get fired and not to be blamed for all the mistakes. Prime example, as you already expect who I'm gonna say, is the head of the Central Bank of Russia, Elvira Nabiulina. But these are smart people, let's give them the credit they deserve. They know where this is going, but they cannot just change anything. So why then constantly make noise and be in front of Putin's eyes? Because when the downfall eventually, inevitably arrives, guess what comes next? Finger pointing, blaming. And as always it happens in Russia in the Soviet times, the loudest are the ones who get all the blame. Now let's pivot from fantasy numbers to cold, hard prison sentences. Because even the Kremlin seems to understand that military corruption is getting out of hand. So this is where we got enter Timur Ivanov, a deputy defense minister, Shoigu's literal golden boy. Well, now he is sentenced officially to 13 years in colony. His crime, embezzlement, bribery, more than $15 million allegedly reportedly in shady money tied to ferry contracts, war construction projects, and of course the lavish lifestyle he and his wife showed off on supposedly banned in Russia Instagram, like it was Monaco in wartime. This guy helped rebuild Mariupol, or rather helped himself to the slice of pie while pretending to do it. The fact that Ivanov went down it at all is, to be honest, even shocking, but let's not get too excited. The trial was closed, the details are hidden, and more importantly, this is theater, not justice. This is Putin trying to show that he is cleaning the house, while using the whole system like his private wallet. Then other generals followed as well. Popov, Shamarin, all sentenced, all used, all discarded. The message is clear. Still quietly or, well, get sacrificed. It's not about reform. It's about showing who is really in charge. Because the war is getting more expensive and somebody has to take the fall. Just not the people who actually started it, of course. It's all the ones being silent behind the scenes who whispered in Putin's ear the most. And meanwhile, what about Western businesses? Well, they are not coming back, despite Putin's bizarre rants about how they're begging to return. Well, not a single formal application has been filed. Zero. Not one company asked to re-enter Russia officially after fleeing the invasion. You could have heard Coca-Cola wants to return, McDonald's, Starbucks, IKEA. I heard it too at least once last week. And then a couple more times last month. And then even several more times in March. Are they back in Russia? Well, no, well, that is your answer. Even the Economist's imaginary friends are ghosting the Kremlin. So, what's left? A bunch of government officials whispering that the empire has no clothes, while the Tsar keeps walking in circles, screaming that he has never felt better. That is like a scene from Insane Asylum, if you ask me. Well, there you have it, guys. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Once again, we have a very interesting guest on Monday. Thank God it's Monday podcast. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think, because yeah, that's going to be dramatic, I guess. So yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to support my work, there are links down below. For example, Patreon, where you will be able to see this episode of Thank God It's Monday podcast in very early access. The link is down below. Great way to support our work here. Thanks so much for watching, and see you on Monday.
We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims on us all they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe in